This is the 137th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the 4th week of May 2013. This episode is titled Viva Dreamforce. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, Cloud Computing Experts. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me here in one of our travel studios, Justin Elstein. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Feeling rested.
Rested after our trip to Las Vegas last week for the conference?
For that conference
in
Vegas. The Kingpin Conference.
It's a very big conference. I was in Vegas last week.
You were in Vegas last week?
Well, I was in Vegas for me getting remarried.
I was in Vegas for you getting remarried.
You didn't get remarried. You're not even married.
I was there for you.
Yes. So we did bring, and I think you brought, did you bring your mic?
Of course.
And then we didn't podcast.
It was Vegas.
It was tough.
What happens there needs to just stay there and not be recorded.
So we did not record one last week, so we are back this week and recording, but we have plenty to talk about. We have a blog post from last week from 2 weeks ago, went live last week. Permission sets for Summer 13. We'll talk about that. DF13, speaking of Summer 13, DF13 registration opened today, or last night. I think today.
Late last night, which may mean early this morning Eastern time.
Talk about that. And then we have some Twitter and Google news. And then we'll, of course, make our CloudFocus app pick of the week. Let's start off with the blog post of the week du jour.
Let's do it.
Which was, so we have become the de facto greatest lovers of permission sets, partly in part because we had something to do with its creation, partly because we're very good friends with the product manager, and partly because we built a free app on the App Exchange to help manage permission sets. So it becomes to nobody's surprise that when permission sets are highlighted in a release, or there are new permission sets to think about, we're going to highlight it as well. So this might not be in every release, Salesforce release topic, but maybe if there's enough permission sets.
It's moving that way.
Yeah, my guess is that permission sets are going to take over
the entire universe.
That's right. It's like chatter and permission sets. That's it. That's all you get.
That's all you need.
Who needs solutions?
You need chatter,
permission
sets with some community flair, and you're in.
Yeah.
You can just run a whole business.
So this blog post on blog.argusinc.com, blog brag, is about the permission sets that you might want to investigate that are in Summer 13. Now, Summer 13 has it started rollout last week, or is it today, or is it this Friday is the first set? I think it's this Friday.
I actually thought it was next week, but that's okay. Maybe, I don't know. Let's go to the trusty trust site.
I thought it was the end of May. It's in a couple of the sandboxes that I've been playing in, so I've seen it.
I've seen it. Let's see.
May 13th.
Doesn't actually say. No, that's scheduled. Major release schedule June 7th is the first.
First pods.
First bunch go June 7th, and then the next bunch go June 14th and the 15th.
Okay.
The sandboxes. Some of the sandboxes flip on the 15th. Okay.
So anyway, if you haven't read up on the millions of blog posts we've done about Summer 13, you can add this to the list. It's a list of things that you might want to think about for permission sets. So I named 4, I think. I'm not going to talk about the one that you love because it's your idea on the Idea Exchange. That's just
it's mine, so I'm going to leave that one out too.
Yeah. But the one that I think is the most interesting, and maybe we mentioned this 2 weeks ago. I feel like we did. Was that Salesforce is switching to a SMS-based authentication. So meaning you'll put in your cell phone number. You've probably been seeing this, and then it will send you a text if you want to get in or get activated to an org that you haven't been on before. But if you want to allow people to not do that, meaning you don't want to have them go through the process, you have to give them a permission set to do that, which is kind of weird because permission sets are usually, I guess they're allowing people to do stuff, they're kind of opening up stuff, but this is sort of like disallowing, making them stop from doing something else. Anyway, but it's an interesting use. It's allow email-based identity, and you can put that permission set on people, and there's no better use. So if you have an org with 300 people, and you wanted to add this permission set to everybody, man, there's nothing you could do to do that. You'd have like 4,000 clicks, 40 million.
4,000?
4,000.
Is that a number? That's a big number.
That's how much I won in Vegas.
It's a huge number.
4,000.
4,000. Sounds like a job for the permissioner.
It sounds like a job for the permissioner.
We're just going to mention it a few more times. And that'll
subliminal.
That's it.
App Exchange brag. Do you have any of the other ones that you wanted to mention?
I think the community membership one is very interesting because when we saw communities, it was profile based membership, but allowing it to go a little bit more granular and do it at a permission set level is, to me, interesting. Like, that's a real opt-in, right? You user are part of this community as opposed to everyone in your profile is part of this community. I think that's a really good use of permission sets and a really interesting way to roll out a new feature with... I like to see permission sets being thought of as core to rolling out new features.
Right.
So it's not like community membership rolled out profile based and then in the next release came permission sets. They came together.
Right.
So I like to see things like that.
Again, if you don't know permission sets, go search for permission sets on our blog because there's
lots of content.
At least 20, maybe 15 blog posts on permission sets, including all the way back to their first release. And then if you're, again, sorry to mention the permissioner, but go to the App Exchange, type in the permissioner, and there's a free app that we built that allows you to mass assign and mass revoke permission sets. And now you're gonna need that more and more. Once you've assigned one permission set to somebody and you realize how troublesome that is, you're gonna need the permissioner. It is free, as in free, and it plans to be free and is free now. So enjoy it. So next up, speaking of things that are not free, Dreamforce is not free.
Dreamforce is not free for some.
So Dreamforce registration opened today or yesterday, whatever. So I will tell you, I have clients who booked their hotels like 2 months ago.
Go in now, do it. The
Yeah.
hotel rooms they are few and far between.
They're fast.
Like really fast.
Right. Like I know as of this morning, we had all of Arkus going in, and from this morning to tonight, we saw things disappear.
Yep.
Like two of us.
You and I
we
got
an extra
in
day.
An extra day at a hotel that someone else couldn't get.
High five over the mic. So they couldn't get in. Both of them.
I actually told one of them that he could bunk in my room for the night.
For the night?
Yeah.
I can guess which one that is.
You could take the other one.
Nope. That one's sleeping in the street.
I told him if I get a king bed, you can even split it with me.
Wow.
But if it's a queen, he's on the floor.
Yeah, on the floor. But we want to announce this year, especially if you're registering for Dreamforce, there's a special promotion.
Yes.
From the Dreamforce MVPs, or just Salesforce MVPs.
Salesforce MVPs. We're not Dreamforce specific MVPs.
Actually, I think that's smarter. We should be named Dreamforce MVPs.
We're broader than that.
So, if you want to get $100 off your registration...
And let's add in the fact that this can be added to other promotions. So if your AE's working with you, you get another code.
Right.
You're a nonprofit, you get a code or something like that. You can add this on top of it.
So I could have added this to mine and gotten them to give me $100?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. That wouldn't have worked that way?
No.
Okay.
Not for you.
So here's the code. It is D as in dog, 13, MVP, REF, R-E-F. So
right.
D13 MVP REF. That is the code. You put it in while registering, which is, I thought it was pretty good. We could talk about registration.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had in here to talk about.
But please say that again. D13 MVP REF. It is the code to get $100 off your registration, which has gone up. The pre-registration last year was $4.99. The pre-registration this year is $7.99 or $6.99.
I think it was like $700.
$700.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they're actually
and even the nonprofits was $300 this year,
as opposed to like
$99.
$99
were free. They had the first however many, it was like 100 or 200 or 300 nonprofits to register were free. And then it was like $100.
So here's the deal: you need this.
You do need the 100 off.
You
It's
need the
nice $100 off, you know.
And it's just from the MVPs.
From the MVPs, you can check my Twitter feed. I'll be tweeting it every so often just to keep it out there.
Yep.
So you can go to both. I'm sure you're doing the same.
I have not tweeted it yet, but I will.
Yeah, so you can check those out. They'll be there.
But when you register,
nice $100 code.
Yep. When you register, you actually get the chance to pull in your profile from last year, which was nice.
Yeah, it was like, have you registered before? Yes. So I logged in. Had to change my password, of course.
Well, I say I log in every week, so it doesn't stop. So I'm always.
I have not logged in a long time, so I had to change my password. Logged in. It pulled everything out. It pulled everything together. I was like, "Oh, this is good." I had a little trouble with some required fields and not liking certain characters.
Didn't like the and.
Didn't like the ampersand.
Ampersand
In my title, so I got rid of it. But other than that, it was a little it was a good experience. It was only a few pages, right? 1 or 2 pages, like a nice little wizard. It was a little confusing choosing the hotel. Like
really?
Yeah, because it was like it had like the 2 fields, like, you know, the start date and the end date, and then next to it had like a search box, but it was like put in a code or something.
Right.
And I searched for Hyatt in there, and it didn't find any Hyatt, so I guess there were codes, maybe? So it was just a little funky. I thought maybe I had to go to the next page. I hit next. It said, you can't go next. You haven't filled out all the required fields.
Oh, no good.
But I didn't know what fields I didn't fill out. What I didn't do was actually select a hotel.
Oh, okay.
So I had to actually select the hotel before I could move forward. But once I did that, I think they do, you know, every year it's gotten better and better, more integrated. I will say, though, the portal itself was having a bit of an issue today. So I did, you know, once I was done, I checked it out. I was like, oh, here's the new, you know, look and feel and the skin of Chatter. And I'm like, whatever. And then I logged back in the middle of the day. I just wanted to check my, you know, the dates. And it totally broke. Like,
getting a lot of unable to read event ID. I mean, they're
that.
now. Yeah. I'm now seeing error in expression.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff.
Apex pages.
Yeah.
Wedge landing.
It depends on, like, the pattern that you click. You can click a few things and you hop into a look and feel that you're not supposed to see for certain, and error screens which you're not supposed to see. So sorry, Salesforce.
By the way,
I mean, it is day 1 of it getting hammered, so, you know.
By the way,
yeah.
Topics from Summer 13 is live in the Dreamforce org. So, like, you can go now and put in topics. So topics in the Dreamforce org, I think, kind of interesting, right? Could have. So I just topicked CloudFocus Weekly in our group, so I don't have to mention it at the end. So now we can add that topic and see who we're liking and following that topic.
Nice, follow it, like
follow,
it.
But
Do
I mean,
it.
you can't follow. You can follow. Be interested in.
I'm interested
topic.
in the topic.
So I just did that.
Good.
But yeah, Dreamforce seems so far away, and yet
It's
we
so
will
close.
blink and it will be there. We were talking.
It's only
end of November.
6 months.
6 months. Registration is open 6 months in advance.
Get in while you can.
That's crazy.
And people are all about it.
Yeah.
Like, we seen this morning, people like, I registered, I'm number blah, blah, blah. Like,
does it say what number you are?
Yeah, like your registration number, like trying to be first, like people trying to be first. Or
what number? Really?
they
It
are.
does? I want that.
Well, you're before me, I think, because I think you registered. You
I
woke
love
up before I did.
I always wake up before you. Early bird gets the worm.
That's true.
I can't wait to see what registration I am.
Alrighty, let's move right along. You know, we had a topic, I think it was almost a month ago, maybe a little longer, about 2-factor authentication.
Mm-hmm.
So, due to some recent hackery, Twitter has gone 2-factor.
Awesome sauce.
You have to opt into it, but and I'm actually not gonna opt into it immediately because I hope they fix this.
Oh.
It's not a fix. It's just I don't like the way they're doing it. So and maybe I'm reading this wrong, but basically you go to your your account
Yes.
settings, and there's a setting called account security, and you check a box that says require a verification code when I sign in. This is their version of two-factor. So when you go to twitter.com and sign in, it's going to ask you to then give it a code every single time. And every single time it's going to SMS you a code. I don't like it.
Well, first you have to add your phone. So I'm actually doing that now.
Yeah, you have to add your phone. Your phone should be in there from like when you... Oh, you know what? When I first signed up for Twitter, it was not this Twitter username. That one... Because I think I signed up for Twitter when it was all like mostly SMS based. Like there wasn't apps and stuff.
It's saying it's a link to another Twitter account.
Definitely is.
Definitely is.
Mine definitely is too.
Yes.
But I have to fix that some other time. So I don't actually find that to be very useful or helpful. Like I don't want to every time I log into a website have to get a text message and type that into
not every time, but I would like it to, again, if they were...
Do it once every 30 days. Or give me an app on the phone that I could... Like Google does it with the Google Authenticator.
Well, I don't care if it texts me. That's fine. It's the same thing. In fact, it's easier to text you than to have to open up the app.
Not every time.
Not every time.
Every time? I mean, that's over the top.
Not every time. Or when I'm logging in,
from a different computer or a different
when I'm coming in
something.
from a different browser.
Yeah.
Right, that's it. When I'm coming in from a different browser.
I'm in the internet cafe or where, or, you know, if you notice I'm coming from Vegas, just, you know, hit me up then.
Right, say, hey, dude, I see you in Vegas.
So every time I think it's a little over the top. This came from, you know, very recently, you know, the Associated Press account got hacked.
Yep.
And now that Twitter is so mainstream and is considered a news source,
it's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. Like, it's the way to break news. As a reputable news organization, you can break news faster.
I mean, the Boston Marathon bomber, when they caught him, they tweeted it.
Yeah. So it's the way you break news. So if a reputable source like the AP has their Twitter hacked, and there was some crazy stuff coming out of their account, I'm not even going to repeat it over these airways.
These are protected airwaves.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta go to two-factor, but I think this way is a little nutso. It's a little over the top.
I'll turn it on just to try it because I love two-factor, but I'm hoping that's great. I hope they do it, and I hope
they did it.
Evernode's right behind them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, everyone should go this way.
And again, you don't have to be like. The funny thing is, Salesforce is two-factor, but not two-factor that you can opt out of. You cannot opt out of their two-factor.
Right.
You can't turn it on or not turn it on. It's on.
It's on.
There's no not on.
No, it shouldn't be for enterprise stuff like that.
Well,
I don't think it should.
It's interesting. It's just not. It's not an opt-in. It's a. This is it.
You can opt into the style now.
Now you can opt in. Well, no, you can opt out of the style
or in.
You can't opt into. They will make you do the texting one. You can opt out of it. But you can't opt into.
Which basically is opting into the email one.
But they will keep bugging
I'm thinking of it one way versus the other.
And thankfully, Salesforce doesn't say this cell phone is linked to another account, because then that would never work. Because I could log into.
Right.
I mean, my cell phone now is in like 10 different accounts.
Yeah, I skip it.
Every time?
I don't skip it. I say ignore. I'm not doing this for this account.
Oh, I just do it. I don't care.
Or I don't want to do it. I don't need. That's just too much. I can get the email.
Well, my text is faster than email, so I'm happy to do it. All right. Speaking of things faster than eagle, the other thing faster than eagle, I just said.
You did.
The other things that has happened in the last 2 weeks that we totally missed was Google I/O happened.
Google I/O did happen.
It happened, and we weren't there.
I listened to the keynote.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't watch it. It was streamed live on YouTube.
Nice.
They were having a little bandwidth issues, I would say, but I'm sure millions and millions of people were watching it. I say that, although it might not be true. I don't know. How many people do you think were watching the Google I/O live keynote thing?
I don't know.
Do you think it's millions? Do you think millions of people are watching?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, it's. I mean, you think
not as many that would watch an Apple keynote live.
Well, I'm starting to think like Salesforce, Apple, Google. I'm thinking Apple, then Google, then Salesforce.
Yeah.
In terms of people who are going to tune in to watch.
For sure.
But Google is it's now so mainstream with, Android, with Gmail, with
Chrome.
I mean, they're in so many parts of your life, which I think they're very happy with, that I think people are pretty interested. I just think that Google I/O is still very geeky. I don't think most people would know.
Developer-centric.
Right.
But there was some product stuff, and I saw some good, really
Tell
good...
me about them. I don't know any of it.
Well, some really good, here's some vision stuff.
Okay.
They did some of that stuff, here's where things connect. So, again, they're very much about being open, but they've also created this, much like Apple, where if you use all their products, things are better. Right? Obviously, that makes sense. So if you've got, a Android phone and an Android tablet, and you're totally chromed out and using, Chrome and Gmail and Calendar and Google Plus is your main social network, which is nobody's main social network, I don't think.
Getting there.
I don't think it's anybody's main social network.
I think it's somebody out there that they've said F you to Facebook and they're on Google Plus. But anyway.
Well, Facebook and their 1-point-something billion users. So.
This is an interesting story that came up the other day that teenagers are bailing on Facebook and going to Twitter. That they're kind of fed up with Facebook already.
Yeah, they're very different. Google Plus to me is very more like the alternative to Facebook. But anyway, they were showing some really good stuff with Hangouts, with Google Plus, with music, with Google Play, with the store, with their notification system, all tying everything together, with location-based services and their new maps.
Well, that was the big one that you don't even have on the list.
I didn't even put it on the list.
Which was the big one. I think that affects most people on this planet, which is that almost everybody uses Google Maps.
Yeah.
And they redesigned it, and it's basically, the redesign is, it's going to be a lot of stuff that you want, that you're going to want to let Google know more about you, because it's going to make your mapping experience better.
That's right. The more you let Google know about you, the more they will help you
map things.
Or do... A lot of these services had that kind of thing built into it.
Right.
The more you give, the more you get.
Right. It's weird because I do care for privacy and I care about privacy, but I don't have a big... I feel like, listen, this information is all out there. What I click on, what I look at. I mean, DoubleClick basically killed everybody's internet privacy forever. It's a matter of not that they have it, it's what they use it for. So I don't care that these companies have this data about me, because I feel like they've had this data about me. Think about what a bank has about you. Think about what American Express has about me.
Everything.
I mean, I use my Amex all the time. It could put together the most crazy, outrageous profile about me that it wanted to. So, I don't know. It's just about how they use it. If they use it to make products better for me, if they use it to help me, to help service, to make my life easier, I'm okay with it. If they sell it to somebody who makes my life harder, I'm not okay with it.
Yeah. So there were a few things that made the developers, really, really happy in the room, and the Google geeks. And I was sitting there watching it with a Google geek. I was more listening; he was watching.
Right.
They're sitting there and they're they announce a phone, and they say, "We're gonna do our version, the Google way, the Samsung Galaxy, the S4."
Right, but they've announced a phone. Android. This is their second phone. They had.
Well, this is not their. So there's a difference. One was their hardware, their software, their phone.
Okay.
This is Samsung's Galaxy. This is the Samsung phone.
Right.
With stripped out all the Samsung stuff. And
what does that mean?
It means all the stuff that the Droid, right? The Motorola Droid. Every Android's an operating system, but yes. Every phone manufacturer can do whatever they want with it and bake in some of their own little doodads and things.
Okay.
And make it their own. So the Galaxy S4 does things that the Motorola Droid can't do, and the Droid does things that the S4 can't do, and vice versa, right? I'm not immersed in the Android universe, but I understand it at that level.
Okay.
So what they've said is, this is Google's take on how Android should be.
Okay.
Meaning it's just a platform, so it's just an operating system. Here's
that they have built.
That we've built, but here's how we would do it. Our UI, our skin, stripped down, none of the carrier stuff on it. And the guy I was sitting with he was very excited about it.
Of course he was.
He's like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. And then they're like, yeah, it's $650. And I'm like, that that's because Samsung didn't get to put their stuff on it.
Right. To basically pay for it.
To basically pay for it.
Right.
So if you want one, you can find it. It runs, it's going to be like continuously upgrading all that stuff. Like it's
so it's
totally
their version of the Pixel or the Chrome Pixel or that type of thing. It's like their version of the laptop.
The way I think of it is actually it's kind of their controlled phone, even though it's not their hardware. It's like, we're going to control everything about this except for the hardware.
Okay.
So that was interesting.
It is interesting. Here's my thing. I mean, I'm a huge Apple fanboy, but I absolutely want 100% for every other manufacturer to go and get crazy and to build better stuff. Because I feel like, if I wanted to switch, I'd want to know that there's something nice to switch to. Like, when I had a Trio, there was nothing to switch to. You're like, if the problem
goes to a BlackBerry.
Well, no, if the BlackBerry stunk at the time. So it's nice to know that if the iPhone were to turn into whatever, if they were to stop producing, if they were to stop to go backwards, none of this stuff I believe, but then I could say, great, I know there's a great platform that I'm already indoctrinated in. I know Google Apps, I know Chrome, I know all this stuff. I've done Play. I mean, that I would be able to pick up and just rock with and be like, it has a ton of stuff. I might miss some of my games, I might miss some of my apps, I might miss some things, but in general, I can kind of make this shift, and I'll have Evernote, and I'll have Dropbox.
I think developers nowadays are really building stuff across the platforms. There's not too many mobile app developers out there nowadays. I mean, there are some, certainly, that are just saying, I'm an iOS developer, and I'm not going to put my app on the Android because that would be silly.
Well, I think a lot of them are saying, I'm going to build for the iOS first because it's easier.
I'll do that, and then I'll go build it for Android.
And then the Android platform just adds a lot more complexity, especially around screen space, and so, because there's so many. It's like the Apple versus Windows. It's easier to build for the Apple because they're very controlled and the models are very small and they do things in conjunction, versus on the Windows side, you're building for what? What platform are you building? What version of Windows? It's like it becomes harder and harder. So, but yes, I actually love the fact that there is another out there that intrigues me enough that I'm not going to leave the Apple platform yet. But if it were, I'd be like, great, there's something to go to, as opposed to there just being a wasteland, which would scare me. So what else?
Well, there's this education thing, which I thought was very interesting. Google Play for education. So this basically it allows schools or universities to push like books and applications and other content through Google Plus groups to their students.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty awesome, right? So you're sitting there, your school's on Google, right? Tons of schools are on Google.
Yep.
Universities, you've got Gmail as your .edu account. You've got Google Plus going on with groups, and all of a sudden, a teacher could push a book into the group, or an assignment, or something along those lines.
Okay.
It's just the start of this. So having like an app store specific to education.
So it's like iTunes U.
Okay.
Exactly. All right.
But again, like, the more you buy in, the more you get out. So
right.
It's that whole ecosystem thing that they're I think getting around. Like,
right.
It's always been very fragmented. And what I saw at the Google I/O from the keynote was starting to come together a little bit.
Right.
Google Play is the store. It's where things happen. Google Plus is the place, and everything's integrated into it, right? We got Hangouts, we got the messaging, we got everything sort of baked into this platform. So I thought it was a pretty good keynote, to be honest. They launched a new music service. It wasn't music. It was called like Music All Access or something like that.
Yeah.
Competitor to like
Spotify.
Pandora or Spotify.
I think it's more Spotify
than
because you're allowed
Pandora.
to take stuff offline and you're allowed to go get what you want to get.
Yeah, $10
Pandora's
a month.
10. Well, if you sign up early, it's $7.99.
Yeah, well, whatever.
But this is like the ability. So for us, who I'm a big songs guy. You like Pandora, but you don't really get to choose your music. You don't get to go say, I want to listen to the Prince album.
No.
You can say, I want to listen to a Prince mix, which then, or I want to listen to songs that are like Prince, and I can say I like this or not. You might be able to find a song to start,
Sure,
but you can't say, throw me that entire album.
No.
So Spotify and now Google All Access you get that I can get to anything, any kind of access. What I think is interesting because this is all coming out, and I love the war, the sort of the wars we're in, because this is all coming out before the rumors of what's happening at WWDC, which is in June, which there's the rumors of them putting out an iTunes subscription service. There's the rumors of them putting out a redesigned iPhone. There's the rumors of, so it's cool because great, get all in. And then Google Plus got a full redesign, totally new look and feel. Looks a lot more like Pinterest than it does anything else.
Really?
It's a little weird.
I haven't logged in a long time.
I will say I haven't figured out why I do or do not like Google Plus.
I'm gonna log in.
There you go. We're gonna listen to you log in.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. It actually looks a lot like the Facebook timeline view.
Yeah, kinda. That's true. But you probably don't use Pinterest, but Pinterest looks a lot like these columns.
I've done
of
the
stuff.
Pinterest. I've signed up for it.
Pinterest or Pinterest?
I don't know how it's pronounced.
GIF or GIF?
GIF. I say
GIF. The owner of the creator of GIFs said it was GIF, but I say forget it. I'm saying GIF.
Some say GIF. Some say GIF.
Well, he's the guy who built it. He said GIF.
Well, what's his name?
I don't know.
Jeff.
Joof. Whatever. All right, let's move on.
All right, moving right along.
Let's move on to our CloudFocus app pick of the week. You have this other one. I don't know if this is like this.
This just interested me.
Okay.
Interested me as a search person.
Okay.
So this was not part of I/O. This was announced. This was in pilot. It's been in pilot for a while.
Right.
But now in your gmail.com interface, so if you're a Gmail user and you use Google Drive and you use Calendar,
okay,
you can start searching in the Gmail search box and start searching through not only Mail, but Drive and your Calendar. And I think that's awesome, because as a search person, I like one box to rule them all. So I'm in my Gmail and I can start searching and finding Google Docs that are in my Drive.
This code hasn't come to us yet because I'm testing it.
It's rolling out in the US
okay,
as we speak. And as a enterprise customer, don't know if you have to turn it on. Probably have to turn it on. But I think that's awesome.
That's neat. I never use Gmail.
I don't use gmail.com, but I have. I've been on the road and I've used gmail.com from other someone else's computer or whatever. I find it fine. I just like mail.app, and I'm just so used to it and so used to the shortcut keys. I don't want to learn another set of shortcuts, and I just use that. So
yeah, it'd be interesting because Drive has its own search box too. You wonder.
Yeah, I want it to go the opposite way. I want Drive to be my search box.
Right, to get to stuff. I don't have more. But that's the thing is, I don't. It even pulls up contacts now, and I'm like, don't pull up contacts when I'm in Drive. I'm not trying to get to contacts ever from Drive. I'm trying to get to documents. Give me documents. But anyway, there you go. All right. Well, speaking of Drive and fun things like that, let's get to our CloudFocus app pick of the week.
Let's do it.
I called you out for this one in Docs, but I now understand what you're trying to do, so I will let you pick it.
Yeah, why are you calling me out?
I'm going to let you pick it.
I was going to pick, and I'm picking Hangouts.
So this is from the man who's like, I'm just going to pick App Exchange products from now on.
No, I didn't say. I said I wanted to go back to my roots last week, or 2 weeks ago, as it was, and pick an App Exchange product. But now I'm picking a Google product to tie into our whole Google theme here that we just talked about for the last however many minutes.
37.
So Hangouts got completely, redesigned, redone. As people know, I'm a big fan of cross-platform communication service providers. I still, to this day, use WhatsApp with a group of friends because one's on an Android phone, someone's on a BlackBerry still, don't know why. Everyone else is on iPhone, so I wish just everyone just get on the iPhone and then we can just go to iMessage. But even iMessage still isn't as good at like keeping the conversations separate as WhatsApp is.
The thing that iMessage just rocks at is the cross-platform stuff.
Well, that's what this Hangouts does. So Hangouts has an iPhone app, they have an Android app, they have, you know, apps for the iOS. I'm picking it for the iPhone. And your conversations can cross over the iPhone to the iPhone app. They show up in your Gmail. They show up on Google Plus. They can include video messaging, video conferencing for up to 10 people. So like this is where they're starting to rock a little bit, right? Like that's better than FaceTime or better than iMessage can do at this point.
Well, that's
right?
the thing about Hangouts now. The Hangouts is now both. It used to be just video.
Now it's chatting.
Right.
And it shows up everywhere. So it's persistent. I can go into my gmail.com account, which I did, and pull up the Google Hangout that I started on my iPhone with someone else and see the picture that we took and sent to each other and see all the it's basically like super text messaging.
It's iMessage from Google with chatting.
iMessage on steroids a little bit.
But
video.
iMessage has video. It has FaceTime
With up to 10 people?
No, not up to 10 people.
Yeah, it's a little, and it shows up in a browser. So I can be anywhere.
Right.
And I can pull up my conversations in Google Plus or in Gmail. So it's everywhere. It's really very well done.
How would we used this in a corporate environment?
It's a good question. I'm not certain. I mean, we use iMessage because we're standard on iPhones. I think if we maybe cared about compliance with our text messaging, maybe we might use Hangouts. Although I'm not sure that they're stored anywhere. Doing video chats of more than 2 or 3 people at a time, Hangout's a good thing. Being able to, have that persistent chat when you're not at your specific laptop is another good example of why you might use it, right? Okay. So there's a few good reasons to use Hangouts. If you're traveling and you're sitting at, you don't have your laptop, or maybe you're sitting at somebody else's computer, you're at a library, or you're somewhere, right? You can totally pull it up anywhere.
Hasn't been enabled in our Google Accounts org.
No, it has not.
All right.
But it is on your personal one, so you can check it out.
Yep. I will check it out.
I've been checking it out, and I think it's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea.
Fun little app, it's free.
I feel like I start to get into that kind of like, where is everybody?
Well, so yeah, that's the whole thing.
Facebook
it's
messaging.
It's too much.
iMessage, whatever. I don't mind having them for different spots. Like, log into Facebook. Now, Facebook with the, what do they call it? Chat heads or whatever.
Heads.
So you log into Facebook and I see everybody's online and I can start chats and this,
Someone started messaging me today and I got a notification in my notification center that I got a Facebook message.
Yes.
I was like, ooh, I gotta turn that off.
Yeah, so I turned those off.
Well, I didn't even know that one existed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I gotta go turn that one off.
I just have it hidden. I have it always off, so it doesn't never get notifications until I let it. All right, well, cool. That's very free and good, and from Google. Mine is not free, not from Google, but pretty good. I will say, warning. I know Justin likes to pick stuff that he's never tried and be like, I'm picking it, never tried it. But
I just share the love.
Yeah. I'm sharing something that I have done a quick POC with. So I spent an hour or 2 playing with. So that's not a full endorsement. I haven't used it for 10 years. It's not like, Kong Composer where I would say to anybody, do it, use it, and don't look back. This is not something I've never used. It's somewhere in between. So I just want to say that to start. I take my picks very, very seriously. So the other day, someone came to us, or a client came to us with the problem of having duplicates in their org. And it was a very simple...
Lots of duplicates.
Duplicate problem.
But lots of them.
Lots of them. But they were really matched up on a very easy to identify thing. It's like A and B. Now, if you have a couple, I've shown people how to do this in reporting. You can basically just not sort by, but group by that field, and then I go into my browser and search by 2 records, and then it'll bring you to the place where there's 2 of them, and then you figure out how to go merge them. Go and figure them out, merge them. But when you're doing hundreds, that's going to take you a long time. So we looked at what's the other one? Not Data Junction. What's it called?
Are you talking about Demand Tools?
Demand Tools, but it has a very high price. It starts high and goes higher.
Demand Tools is pricey if you're not a nonprofit.
Right. Well, this was not a nonprofit. This is a for-profit
If you're a
institution.
nonprofit, Demand Tools is free.
That's pretty good.
And it's a real deals tool.
Yeah, it is very good, but it's also not cloud-based.
It is client-based.
Client-based, so whatever. So I found this one. You had actually heard about it. I went on, looked it up, played with it a little bit. Anyway, it's called Cloud Dingo, and it is a fully web-enabled thing, so it's cloud-based. You install it from the App Exchange. You install the agent in your Salesforce org, and then you go log into it. You have to have an account at it, and then you can hook up many orgs within it, and then you can build these sort of rules of things you want to look for. And then having built it, it'll run it, and it takes a while to run it to say what it found as matches, and then you can give it rules to say match, merge, or show it to me, and I'll pick, right? You can kind of do anyway. I can either show me each one, and I'll just merge and keep going, but it allows you to merge them, and then it'll send it back to Salesforce and merge them for you. And I think the thing that it kind of gets a little bit better than Demand Tools is that you can schedule it. So you can say, because it's in the cloud,
That's really good.
You can say, go every day and find this stuff and merge it up for me.
That's great, because
right?
Demand Tools has been missing that for I've been working with Demand Tools for years, and I've always wanted a scheduling interface. I'm like, can't I just schedule this on like Windows Scheduler?
Right.
No.
So Cloud Dingo, and it's on the App Exchange. You can try it for free for 10 days. It has a nice user interface. I definitely think it suffers from a little bit of like, I don't know, it's a little bit all over the place, but I think once I got used to it, I was like, okay, I get it. Here's the dashboard.
Demand Tools is really all over the place.
Yeah.
But once you get used to it, it's like really simple.
So, and it starts at $9.96 a year for the Salesforce org, per Salesforce org. And then that's the basic, and then standard's $15.96, which allows you to do more. The scheduling comes at $15 or
it comes with support too, yeah.
Comes with support.
No, the second level comes with support.
Oh, yeah, better support.
The first level comes with like basic go find it on the boards, right?
And then consulting allows you to do, I think, multiple orgs, and that's like $5,000 a year. And they have nonprofit pricing. I don't know, and have small prices, small business pricing. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Does that mean I get it for less? No, small business. But anyway, pretty good. I was really impressed. The best part about it is they have a very good sense of humor. I love apps that have a very good sense of humor. Like we talk about Conga Composer, they would say spinning up the engine when it's doing it and cooling it down. Like, that's funny. This one has a lot of like, because it's Cloud Dingo, it's hosted as a dingo, it's also Australian, so it's like, put another shrimp on your data. Like, it's got all these things that it's doing as it's doing its stuff. Because it does take time, and I think that's the thing I would warn people is, don't just think you're going to click a button, it's going to give you a list, and you're going to say go. You're going to click a button, you're going to say go, and then it's going to say come back in a while, and we'll figure it out. The other thing is, for security's sake, it's really pulling data away from your org. It's not doing it inside your org, so just be careful of that. It's not an in-org option. It's doing it away. It's processing it away. But otherwise, pretty cool. And we tried the trial. Didn't end up using it full because I think the use case was sort of a one-off use case. But liked it and really was rather impressed with it. So Cloud Dingo starts at almost $1,000, $9.96. I don't know what that is, and then goes up from there. All right. Well, that's it. Any more emotional outbursts from you, Justin?
Nope.
Okay. Remember to go to blog.arkusinc.com and read up on all the latest blogs. Remember to go to arkusinc.com if you want to read up on anything else. Go to Twitter on ArkusInc. Just Edelstein over there. Jason and Matt were here. We're in the Dreamforce portal, and we've been there all along, and we're still there. There's a CloudFocus CloudFocus Weekly group. Leave reviews on iTunes. Subscribe everywhere. Discuss on the blog. Tell us how you like it. Hit us up on the many different places. We're in Google+. Although, of course, there is no URL to get to Google Plus yet. Hopefully, they'll figure that one out. Until we see you next week, and we will be back next week, it's Jake and Justin saying, enjoy those cloudy days.